What's up, everybody? Welcome into episode 17 of JD Empire's Sports Talk. Today we'll be having a Super Bowl preview, just like we did for the national championship a few weeks ago. I know it's not the normal me talking about my favorite teams, but big games like this, we have to definitely talk about, especially with it coming up Sunday night. Of course, the Chiefs versus the Eagles, but before that, I just want to talk about a few other things regarding the show and posting and all that stuff. So, next week we'll probably not do any Jets episode just because of just that there I don't want to start like repeating things, and it's kind of the same stuff just for now. But if anything major, if Rogers news comes in, any stuff like that, we'll definitely get on that right away. But for now, we'll kind of lay low with the Jets and talk about them when we have to. I know the combine's coming up in a few weeks, so we could definitely do an episode of guys to watch out for, all stuff like that. But for now, we'll stay away from that. Next week, at the end of the week, definitely Knicks, Rangers, and St. John's. Both teams will be on. Knicks and Rangers will be on the All Star break. Rangers starting this weekend. Knicks, well, more so next weekend. So we'll talk about both of those teams. Kind of give out first half grades. See how they've played recently and what they're going to do in the second half. Because I know the NBA trade deadline's over, so we'll talk more about that. And St. John's, of course, they got big games coming up, so we can. Oh, we're always going to stay on them. And we'll figure out another thing we could talk about. Probably maybe only one episode next week, if we could break it up. Maybe just do Knicks and Rangers by itself, and St. John's on its own episode because they deserve it right now. But we'll see as it gets closer. But I know spring training's coming up in the MLB. I moved that water bottle out of the way. But the Mets uh, made me happy yesterday, and we'll talk about that more. We may have a Yankees expert or specialist, like I like to say. We may have one of those as well, but I'm trying to see if I can get that done or not. So we'll see what happens with that. So maybe I would like to have like a weekly, just a little Yankee talk, just to keep some people happy that follow the page, because they're going to be a good team too. So it's definitely worth some people's time, and I'll post some stuff about that. Of course I would, but. With that being said, let's start it up. Super Bowl preview. Chiefs versus Eagles once again rematch of Super Bowl 57, where the Chiefs won 38-35 in a thriller. That was a game the Chiefs were down going into the second half, later into the third quarter as well. Then they kind of turned it on, which is something as a theme for them in the Super Bowls they win. They did it against the 49ers twice now. They were down in both of those games, came back and won in the second half, and they did it against the Eagles 2 years ago, down, and then they come back and win. But I think in this case, we'll get into it in a little bit. But with the Eagles having Saquon Barkley, the Chiefs can't afford to get down early because they'll just give him the rock 35 times if they have to, and that'll ice the game. So the Chiefs can't afford to start off slow, which sometimes they do in postseason games, and they're just that good where they can come back. I mean, they were down against Buffalo, and you saw how that went. Not against Houston, but they didn't play great until the second half in that game as well. So something they can't afford. But my prediction will be at the end of the show, and I'll try to keep that as tight as I can without giving anything away, and kind of talking about what both teams can look forward to in this game and all different some matchups and all that good stuff. But I think it's definitely best if we start with how these teams got here. So the Chiefs, 15-2 in the regular season, one of their best regular seasons under Andy Reid, which is kind of crazy because they've how good they've been the past 7 years. Like last year, they lost 6 games and they still won the Super Bowl. This year, 15-2. They weren't dominant though. I can't say that. They won a lot of close games in the fourth quarter, one possession games. They grinded out a lot of games, which is something that it's in their DNA. They're used to it. They play in big games. That things like that in the regular season aren't too much for them. They lost to Buffalo, up at Buffalo in the middle of the season, and then they lost to Denver the last game of the season without any of the Chiefs starters playing. So I don't really count that one, but of course it's in the record, so you have to. Then in the postseason, they had the 1 seed, so they had the bye week in the wild card weekend. They beat the Texans in a weird game. It was kind of like a just a slugfest, just like throwing haymakers at each other. Not in a slugfest in the sense of scoring a lot of runs, you can say, but of course, football points wasn't like that. It kind of played a different brand of football, something they've become accustomed to, though, with relying on the defense more so than ever. They did that, and then they beat the Buffalo Bills in the AFC Championship, getting revenge on them, and that was a thriller. Usually Mahomes versus Allen is, and that lived up to the bill. Chiefs were down early. Chiefs came back, got a few calls. If you want to say that, I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna buy into that because you can't sit there and say, "Oh, the refs are rigging the game for the Chiefs." You got we can't do that. It's just too. You're going down a stupid road, and it's just not worth it. You sound like an idiot, to be honest. It's just too much. Yes, they do get more calls than other teams. Mahomes is maybe treated differently than other quarterbacks. Yes, I can agree with that, but they're not winning games because of the referees. We gotta stop. It's like it's just a winning team. Like every winning team you could think of that has won multiple championships, you could think of them that they've had the same treatment. People think they're getting. They're just a good team. You can't take that away from them. But let's move on to the Eagles before I kept ranting about that. Eagles won 14-3. Um, did not start out great the first 4 weeks of the season. I know being up at school in the fall semester, they they people were not happy. They started out 2-2. Even the games they won in the beginning of the year did not look great at all. They lost to the Falcons and the Bucks, and we saw how those two teams seasons ended. And they struggled against the Saints team that stunk. So after that, though, they turned it on. I think it was more of an adjustment period of like you have Saquon on your team, you got to give him the ball more than they did in the beginning, and I think they realized that. Kellen Moore, good offensive mind, he realized that right away. He was like, okay, we have Saquon, we have all these weapons, we got to be able to spread it around because no one's gonna be able to stop us. And the rest of the regular season, no one was able to stop them, losing only the one game, winning 12, so 12-1 the rest of the way. I just had to do my quick math there. But the only game they lost to the rest of the regular season was the game that Jalen Hurts got a concussion against the Commanders. He was out 2 games after that, but they still won games with Kenny Pickett, Tanner McKee in Week 18. So well-rounded Eagles team. I mean, they're one of the most talented. I know they're most of the most expensive team, which doesn't always translate, but they are one of the most, I can say, the most expensive and talented teams in NFL history. I mean, if they weren't playing this Chiefs team, I would say they can win this game by double digits. I mean, they still can. I'm not doubting that because the Chiefs can lose. It's not the end of the world if they did or not. But the Eagles are really, really talented. I mean, up and down the depth chart of every position, they can go 3, 4, 5 deep, and it's just nuts. Offensive line is great, and that's why they are able to run the ball the way they are, and they're able to get those short yardage, tush push, brotherly shove, whatever you want to call it. Um, they're able to do that. They just because they're that good weapons on the outside, terrific tight ends that know their roles. Of course, Jalen Hurts is a really good player, and he's grown since his rookie year, of course. Even since the last Super Bowl, I think he's learned how, this might not be the day I'm throwing 35 passes. This might be the day I'm throwing only 20 and we're winning the game by 15, and he's okay with that. And I think people started to realize that he doesn't. It doesn't all have to be on him. And I think that's what makes this team so good. And I haven't even talked about the defense. I know I'll talk about them in a little bit, but that defense is sick. Every position. I mean, they drafted two terrific guys in the secondary, Cooper DeJean and Quinion Mitchell, and they just filled in tremendously. And Darius Slay back there in the secondary, to name a few. I mean, the defensive line is another beast. I mean, they're sick back there in the front. And Zach Bond guy that's signed, and no one even thinks he's going to be anything. Injuries happen, and he steps right in and does the job. So both teams, of course, playing their best ball right now. I mean, you can't deny that. It's true. I mean, these are some years in the playoffs, and then when you get to the Super Bowl, you may be like, let's say a few years ago, I could say, Bengals made the Super Bowl. They were not the better team than the Chiefs. They just got them on that certain day, which happens. I mean, it's part of the game. I mean, the best team doesn't always win. It's just a team that shows up that day and has more success and beats you. But this year, you can say that both of these teams, these are the two best teams in the league, and you can't deny it. And I really think that both coaching staffs are terrific. I know Sirianni gets a lot of hate against him for his own reasoning. He doesn't really know how to just tune out the noise, but um, especially with the fans, you shouldn't. There's no reason why you should be getting into it with fans. Is ignore him. You win games. He's been great. Second Super Bowl for him, and he's made the playoffs every year since being in Philadelphia. So I don't really know why. Fans are complaining, but you just ignore it. That's the only thing you could say about Sirianni. He kind of just gets into it a little too much and can be a little disrespectful to other coaches, the way he acts and things like that. But besides that, he knows how to coach. He's got two terrific coordinators this year. I know he had two terrific coordinators last time, and after that year, both of those guys were gone. Gannon and Jonathan Gannon for the defense, and what's his name for the offense? I'm blanking on his name right now. If it comes back to me, I'll get to it. I don't know why I'm struggling with that. Oh, Shane Steichen, yes, Shane Steichen. I just thought of that on the fly. Yeah, so those two guys were gone after the last Super Bowl appearance. For this one, I know Kellen Moore is more than likely getting the Saints job because they don't have a coach yet, and he's one of the guys he interviewed, so I'm pretty sure they're waiting on him. If not, I don't know what they're gonna do, but Kellen Moore should be gone, so they'll have to find another offensive coordinator. But Vic Fangio, he'll be there. He's an older guy. He's been a head coach before. Didn't really work out. I think he's just there to ride out the rest of his coaching career in Philly, and the guys love him there. I know he had a hard time in Miami last year for whatever reason, but glad he's doing well and the team appreciates him because he's a heck of a coach. I mean, he knows what he's doing, and we'll see it on Sunday. I mean, he's never beaten Mahomes before, and I think it was might be 5 games, 5, 6 games, something like that. He's never beat Mahomes yet. So we'll see if he tries to switch it up, the game plan he's tried on Mahomes the other previous matchups, or he just goes with the same thing and says, "All right, this is probably the best defense I've had against you. I want to see you try to go out there and beat it." So we'll see how that goes. That's going to be a good chess piece, chess matchup right there. But something I wanted to go back to was I've had this argument or a discussion with a few different people. The Eagles are definitely the more talented team. We can't deny that. I probably said it here already. They are more talented, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Like the Chiefs have Mahomes, but Kelsey, older guy now, not the same as he used to be. Xavier Worthy's a rookie, so and he's becoming a number one, but it's very tough to rely on a rookie like that. Rest of the receiving room, guys that have had success before, but not really number ones or number twos. I would say they're a bunch of number threes. If I had to guess, like DeAndre Hopkins, older guy, has success. Maybe not a number one, maybe a low end two now. Juju Smith was a one and two at one point. I think he's a three now. To name just those two, there's a few more guys. I don't really think that those weapons can stack up against AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. Both of those guys would be um, far and away number ones on the Chiefs and a lot better than what they have right now. Especially Saquon better than any of the Chiefs running back. So the name I'm not going to say rename everybody, but they're definitely the more talented team, and I think that that's something that, like I said, like the more talented team will not always win. That's something that could happen, but I don't want to give too much away yet. But I think that this is one of those things where the Chiefs, they know how to win. They know how to go out there. They know what to do and what it takes to win those little matchups that maybe people don't think. And do this and do that. And then all of a sudden you look up and be like, damn, we played the best game of the season on our end and we still lost. And I know there's a bunch of teams that said that this year. One game that can come to mind to me, Denver in Kansas City, have them on the ropes. It's 19-17. Will Lutz is going for that game-winning kick earlier in the year, gets blocked. That's one of those games that Chiefs defense, Broncos defense is like, damn, we held Mahomes to under 20 and we lost. That's like that's very rare, and that's when you're like, okay, we played our best game and we lost. I know 2 years ago, it's a different year, but as a Jets fan, that game was they lost 23-20. That was probably the best, one of the best all around performances of that year for that team, and they lost. And that's one of those things you look back and be like, damn, we played our best game and we lost. So see what I'm saying here? What I'm getting at is that the Eagles can be the more talented team, and they could be playing their best football all year. They could be doing that on Sunday and still lose because the Chiefs do those little things. Maybe they get one more third down conversion than the Eagles got, and that makes a difference. Maybe they punt the ball that lands at the 8 instead of the 12, and that makes a difference. Those are the little things they're going to go out there and do that's going to be tough to stop. And it's a Chiefs team that has that. They just have that DNA, man. I keep going back to it. They have that championship DNA, and it is very, very hard to just do it. There's nothing you can do about it. They're going to go out there. You're going to play your best game. They're going to play their best game, and you're more than likely going to lose, and if you beat them, then you get props. You get props for that. Moving on, I think it's best to talk about. I talked about Kellen Moore before, and last game for the Eagles, they played the Commanders in the NFC Championship. Saquon, of course, had a good game, but he only had 15 rushes. They were winning by a lot and all that. He was out of the game in the fourth quarter, but I think it's more so to note that they were a more passing offense in that game than they were in the other two previous playoff games. I know the game against the Rams in the divisional round, it was snowing, so it was very hard to throw, especially in the second half or second quarter going into the third quarter, that kind of thing. It was very hard to do that. So I think that's why they kind of shied away from the pass. But all year they transitioned. They were more pass heavy, which is Kellen Moore's thing. I'm sure he'll bring that to New Orleans if that's where he's going. They were a pass heavy team in the beginning of the year, and then they kind of switched gears. They became a running team, and it's one of those things that which offense will show up for the Eagles? Because I know Steve Spagnuolo, or Spags as many people know him. He's a guy that he's been a DC forever. I mean, he's won championships with the Chiefs, won one with the Giants. He knows how to stop high flying offense. He's done it his whole defensive career, of course, as a DC. And I think that I don't know. Like I don't what offense is going to show up for the Eagles because I think Spags is going to shut down Barkley as much as he can. I mean, shutting down Barkley, what, 100 yards and a touchdown. I mean, that's not shutting down. I mean, that's shutting Barkley down. Yeah, but other guys, of course not. But oh yeah, is that what they're going to do? They're going to force Hurts to pass. I mean, last Super Bowl, it's hard to compare because they didn't have a running back of the Eagles of this magnitude. But last time the Eagles put up and scored whatever they wanted, that was a different Chiefs defense then. But do you think they throw in that film? I know they lost to them at Arrowhead last year. Do you think they throw in that film as well? That's one of those things you'd be like, okay, we're gonna force Hurts. We're gonna bring everybody in. We're gonna force Hurts to throw, and if he beats us, then he beats us. But that's one of those things I think they're gonna be aggressive on the Eagles end and be like, all right, we're gonna pass, lean on Hurts' legs as well, and Saquon will give us whatever he can, trying to fight through all those defenders down there, making sure they stop him. And I'm sure Barkley will break off a 40, 50-yard run. I mean, he does it every game. So it's not stopping him, it's neutralizing him, you can say. And I think that's the Eagles on the Eagles end, I think the offense for them will be more pass heavy unless they have the lead, and that's going to be tough to stop. Barkley coming downhill on you when you're losing as the Chiefs. So I think it depends on the what the how the game goes in the first half. But if you're the Chiefs, you want to get that lead early, either play with that lead or stay tied where it's not Saquon's show the rest of the game when you're losing and trying to. It's not. It won't be fun for them if they're trying to come back under down 10 points or more. It's going to be very very hard for them to recover from that. So I think that's what will happen for them. And switching gears to the Chiefs offense, I have like a question I've been thinking about all week, and I'm kind of flip flopping on who I want to pick. I know now, just kind of with that gut feeling that I've had since AFC and NFC championships ended, but I kind of tossed back and forth a little bit. But before I do that, I think will the Chiefs manufacture points or can they against this really really tough front? So manufacture say the Chiefs defense makes a nice stop on the Eagles and they got it at the 50-yard line. Can the Chiefs do whatever they can to go out there and get those 3 points that won't be too far away from them getting if they're at the 50-yard line already? Will they be able to manufacture those points? Because it's going to be tough for them to take, say, a possession at the 20-yard line, 25 or 30, whatever it is, and for them to go all the way down the field and score without an explosive play. And the Chiefs this year, they've had explosive plays, but not as many as the past. They kind of just methodically get down the field, and I think that's going to be very, very difficult against this type of defense, like I was saying. And throughout the entire postseason, as the Eagles' defense, they let up points, yes, but it was more of those chunk plays that killed them. And that's when you got to go out there and hope that you can break out a big run, a chunk play, passing wise, 30, 40 yards down the field, because you're not going to be able to go, get 10 yards, hit the sticks, get to the next 10 yards, next 10 yards. It's going to be very tough to do that. They maybe get one or two scores like that, but throughout an entire game, every drive, it's not sustainable against this type of defense. So I think it's worth noting. Will they be able to manufacture their way to scoring points, taking advantage of opportunities? So we'll see what happens with that. And I want to see before I didn't mention this before, but I want to talk about this a little bit before I get into my X factor of the game. So Barkley was announced as the offensive player of the year, and I just want to think I want to put it out there or think, will he on his own, yes, because he's that type of player, will he be able to run very, very well where he can keep Mahomes off the field and Eagles can dominate time of possession? That's another question you want to sit there and think about and see what happens if he's able to just keep it rolling and Barkley runs for 200 yards, Chiefs are going to have a rough time trying to win that game. So we'll see what happens with that. Uh, X factor of the game. So you may think, oh, Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, AJ Brown, Xavier Worthy, Travis Kelsey, Saquon Barkley, Jalen Carter, Chris Jones, Carl Loftus, whoever you want to think of. My X factors are the kickers. I kind of wanted to go off the green of everyone saying who their X factor is. I think the X factors are the kickers because both teams have excellent kickers, yes, but in postseason play, Harrison Bucker has been perfect. He was injured earlier in the year for the Chiefs, missed a little bit of time, but he came back. He's still kicking like really weird. I don't know why he's doing that, but I think it's still part of like his. He just kind of went to that. It kind of looks like he folds over to a pretzel when he kicks. But I mean, if he's making kicks, you can't complain. And he's been perfect all postseason. 4 of 4 from field goals, 5 of 5 on extra points. And Jake Elliott, 6 of 7 on field goals. Oh, he only missed one, but extra points. He has missed 3 in 3 games, 9 of 12. And that Rams game, he missed. I think he missed, I believe, 2 in that game, and that could have cost them. They got very lucky that they were able to escape that one, and that's an X factor in this game. Say the Eagles have a terrific drive and they go up. They're trying to go up 14 to 7. Miss an extra point. That's 13-7. Chiefs score a touchdown. 14-13. That may be something that comes back to bite them at the end of the game. And I think it's worth keeping note. So we'll see what happens with the X factor. X factors. Keep an eye on those kickers, man. And we'll see what happens. But well, all right, we'll do the predictions now. So I think you guys may have known where this was going, but actually maybe not. I mean, I kind of hyped up the Eagles so much that you maybe thought I was picking them, but I'm gonna go with the Chiefs. They're gonna get the three-peat, first team in NFL history to um, not only get to the Super Bowl for a chance at three-peat, because there's been plenty of teams that won 2 in a row. That no one's ever gotten to the Super Bowl. So the Chiefs are getting to the Super Bowl. That's historic in its own sense. But now I believe the Chiefs will make even more history, winning they three-peat, beating the Eagles for the second time in 3 years. So part of the three-peat will be first and third, beating the Eagles, and I think it will be a 30-27 game. So the Chiefs will get them by 3 points again, keeping a streak. The last 3 Super Bowls coming into this year have all been wins. Whoever won the game by 3 points or less. Rams, and of course the Chiefs twice now, winning by 3 points or less. So I think that will stay the same. A little lower scoring than the last Super Bowl between these two in Super Bowl 57, but I think the Chiefs will go out there 30-27. With all that stuff I said before, I think you got to keep an eye on all that, and we'll see if they can go for a four-peat, in my opinion, next year. But that being said, episode 17 is over. Super Bowl 59 preview. Guys, go out there, follow the Instagram and TikTok, YouTube as well. I always forget to mention that. Comment, like, share, whatever you want to do. We're doing well with the views. Want to keep getting them up, though. It's always good to improve. And I'll be back next week. But a reel will go up just talking about, just the X's and O's of the game. And my predictions will go out shortly before the game on Sunday for everyone to see that. But with that being said, JD out.